for you today. I've got some Amazon PowerPoints. I was just emailed these from my friend over at Amazon in Seattle. And a couple of PowerPoints we're going to show you with some best practice guides, some SOPs, and some data that they've mined on improving an Amazon store from okay to better using some best practices. So the first thing that they talk about is having a strategy for your store. And really what an Amazon brand store does, just to take it back to the basics, it's amazon.com/your brand name. And one of our clients, we were able to obtain for them a brand store called We. So that's pretty awesome if you think about it. A brand store URL, a pretty URL, or a vanity URL, if you were, of amazon.com/WE. That's as short as it gets, man. And that's a great way to get some traffic or accidental views, that's for sure. So one of my clients, great friend, and he and I shot a podcast about a week ago talking about his Amazon story, especially as he's got an education product and going around and doing events right now is kind of on the back burner because of COVID-19. So we'll put a link to that in the description. But anyway, so this is an example of one way you could do a brand store, and we've got a lot of trust signals on here and a lot of things you can do. The most common way somebody ends up getting to a brand store is by clicking on the brand name attribute on a detail page. There are many other ways you can get to the brand store. You could also type in the brand name, amazon.com/your brand name. If you don't have your vanity URL set yet, very basic to do, just requires a quick ticket. We have a video on how to do that as well. And I keep stacking up the number of things I need to link to, so I'm actually going to write that down so I don't forget. Vanity URL tutorial video. And I'll put that in the description. All right, so back to these PowerPoints, and I forgot to mention, so the other ways you get to the brand store is by typing the vanity URL and clicking on the brand name attribute, or finally through a brand headline ad or sponsored brand headline. So best practices. Have a strategy for your store. Sounds basic, right? You're not just throwing things into a template and trying to make it work, right? So here are 3 store examples, very different look and feels. One's very dark, others are bright, and they have some close-ups and some face expressions that are included in there. Amazon states that you should reflect your brand value. Make sure the messaging, tone, and visual identify with your brand especially. So brand stores, in my opinion, are not for conversion. They're more for awareness and somebody who wants to know more about your brand story. So use rich and engaging content. Video, I can't emphasize this enough. GIFs and videos do really well. Definitely check those out. I'm drinking my Mexican Coke here. I like Mexican Coke over regular corn syrup Coke. It's my non-sponsored plug there. Man, I wish I could figure out how to order a pallet of that. It's actually kind of hard to source. So if anyone watching this knows how to get a pallet of Mexican Coke to your door, let me know. All right, so design your store's navigation with purpose and utilize the shopper's decision tree. So a lot of ways that you can do this, and when you build your brand store, you can create lots of subpages and link them down the funnel, if you will. The front page, though, should be very centric around your story. So their stat that they give here, stores that helped a party decoration brand see a 51% increase in units per order on sales from the store over regular Amazon sales. So that's a fancy way to say that it helped increase the average order value by 1/2. So for every 3 customers that come in the door, 2 are making an order instead of 1. So it helps increase that, which is good. So understand what you need to do. Order your tiles by products and category and use, and have all that good information. Make sure your product grid has a hero ASIN at the top with some centric information. So put your bestseller front and center. Put links on the bottom of the pages to other parts of the store so you can take them down that funnel. Encourage the shoppers to explore and discover. Now, if you've got a shallow catalog, you don't have a lot of products to work with, this is going to be harder to do. So just do a really fancy homepage at bare minimum when you load this. We do have a tutorial on how to load a brand store from scratch. I'm not going to be demoing the actual back end of Seller Central today, but we do have a video that does that. And I'm writing that down to include in the description notes as well. And it's actually one of our most popular videos that we have on YouTube. Actually leads to a lot of questions and lead gen for people hiring my Amazon guy. So we'll definitely link that over. A very popular video. All right, so drive traffic to your store is a strategic concept. I actually disagree with this one. And I think you should not drive traffic to your brand store unless you're creating a dedicated subcategory page with a landing page that doesn't have all the fluff. Because landing pages in general in e-commerce should be very succinct, simple, and straight to the point. And generally speaking, landing them on a product page is going to convert them better than landing them on a brand store. All right, so link to your store off Amazon. So this is where you're putting in your social media, pushing into Amazon, driving traffic to your brand store page. This is there's a feature in advertising where you can also do this by retargeting Amazon sellers or buyers rather who bought from you previously, as well as display targeting. Fairly new functionality in 2020. Definitely want to have that active. You can drive Facebook traffic and a bunch of other good stuff as well. So they're talking about that short URL and publishing your store. Make sure the submissions, once it's clicked, you have to wait until it goes live. Submissions right now are only taking about 24 hours. They say 72, but I've seen it down to 24. All right, so the second thing they talk about is link sponsored brands to your store. So this is just a way to showcase the fact that there's advertising that can push into your storefront. They give a couple of examples. So Samsung drove some traffic to its store during key promotional periods to boost sales. And their objective was to provide shoppers on Amazon a branded destination that highlights Samsung's innovative technologies, product pairings, portfolio breadth and design, and to drive traffic, orders, and sales across their product categories during key promotional periods. So the solution they came up with was to educate shoppers on the latest technologies, unique value propositions, key differentiator features of their products. Samsung utilized their store to launch new products, educate shoppers about product pairings like QLED TVs with a soundbar, and drive campaign traffic during these key shopping periods. So here's the results. 258% increase in visitor traffic to the store during Black Friday weekend. 100% increase in average orders per day during the store during that weekend. And I don't, the weird thing about stats like this is we don't know what they're comparing against. We don't know if they're comparing okay, so it does say 2018 data. So they are comparing against year over year potentially here. And a 700% increase in average sales per visitor to the store during the weekend. So versus the previous year. So that's one use case that they had. Vermont Teddy's the next one they've got here, and they wanted to differentiate themselves. You got some giant teddy bears here. Those always showcase well. So if you sell giant teddy bears, you got an easy marketing job ahead of you. But a very big bear to ship. I actually had a client that consulted with about shipping big bears. They paid a lot in storage fees. That was their biggest problem. All right, so here's their testimonial. Our store gives our brand a dedicated place on Amazon. Linking our sponsor brands to our store has been profitable. Not a lot of detail on that one, but they do say, on average, we've seen that linking sponsor brands to your store page has a 22% return on ad spend compared linking to a product list page. Now, I actually disagree with this one. We've tested this. We have the opposite opinion. And it's not because our brand stores were bad. It's because we just think that the more clicks you add to a consumer's click funnel, the harder it is for them to complete their purchase. So going to the list page, in our opinion, is the better best practice. And I should be able to showcase that. So on screen now, you can see in the campaign creation type, if you go continue on sponsored brands, they give you two options where you're targeting or landing them, right? So ignore the product collection versus store spotlight. That's kind of a new feature. Most people don't have access to that yet. But you can choose, and by the way, this custom image thing right here, this is the coolest advertising feature for sponsored brands right now. You definitely need to be checking that out. We have a special video on that one as well. My list of things I need to link to is increasing here. Custom image video. And all right, so, and the way to target or choose where you're going to land them is right here. You can either land them on the Amazon store landing page or a new product list page. And again, we are recommending new product list page at this time. So they found a 22% 2 times ROAS on Amazon using their Amazon store. However, Big Dot of Happiness uses store to connect with customers and inspire them. And Big Dot Happiness curated their wide selection of products. They had a lot of SKUs by occasions and themes which were previously not possible using the Amazon search bar. So the larger your catalog, the better the brand store will be and helpful. And they claimed 47% increase in average order value and 51% increase in units ordered. So AOV went up. And then finally, this third PowerPoint has some best practices on how to showcase your brand. So they talk about how to trust and customize it and always on with traffic drivers, insights, and performance. 80% of Amazon shoppers use Amazon to discover new products or brands. It's definitely replaced Google as the main place to start your product search. Stores are free, and they've been free for a couple years now. They add trust, they add make it frictionless. You do have to have your brand registry, of course, to get that brand store. Let's see if there's anything else valuable here. So 20 million unique U.S. monthly visitors, 100 million global Prime members. I think the stat is actually 1 in 2 out of the United States right now as a Prime member, households, that is. Amazon voted America's most reputable company. I find that one to be a little hard to believe, especially with the challenge that sellers have. Now, to be fair to buyers, they can trust buying on Amazon versus a regular website, so I get that. Dedicated experience to bring your brand on Amazon, so self-service product, multi-page experience. You can basically mimic your website, so I agree with that. This is pretty high-level stuff here, pretty basic PowerPoint so far. You can curate your product catalog on Amazon, flexible ace and tile placement across the pages, add to cart button functionalities are included, all that good stuff. Easy to build, customize. I agree with that. Build one for desktop, and it also transfers over to mobile view, so you can see the difference here and what it might look like. And it basically just splits the screen in half. So again, they talk about Big Dot. Let's skip that one. Stores elevate the shopping experience. So organic traffic to the store. So here are the 3 ways. It's interesting that they're mentioning it. Unique Amazon URL, brand name link, social share button. Nobody's using the social share button ever. But that's another paid way. Sponsored brands display and offsite advertising can link in. This explains how to advertise your sponsored store brand. Target sponsored ads. You can use keywords. You can target categories. You can target a bunch of good stuff here. This is an example of a headline ad right there. Reach customers on and off Amazon with display and video ads. Video ads are fairly new right now. They just rolled out to Seller Central. Definitely check those out. 22% average return on your ad spend by linking to your sponsored brand store. I disagree with that stat yet again. Measuring your impact with store insights. This page will show you how much revenue your store drives. Our average client doesn't do a whole lot with their Amazon store. It's not a big revenue driver. They do have a picture here with somebody who's got 416,000 in monthly sales, but that is very much probably less than 50 brands in the country are doing that. If I had to guess. There are, a couple 100,000 brands, and so I'd say the majority are getting less than $1,000 a month in revenue from their store, even if you're a 100K brand. You can track traffic sources, though. That is one value to the brand store. You can track traffic. However, they just rolled out new advertising functionality to have trackable UTM codes, land them straight on the product detail page. So this is no longer a unique benefit. It's definitely one that is beneficial, especially if you're driving from Facebook. You need somewhere to go with them. But the ability to track your traffic off of Amazon is still in beta right now. It's got a lot of trouble, a lot of problems with it. All right, so store management. You can have multiple brand stores. That is a common question we get. You can see right there here on the screen. A little hard to see. It's a little tiny. But if you don't have your vanity URL, this is where you'll see a long URL, and that's when you need to go submit a ticket if you don't have that done. Drive traffic to your store in the appendix here. Unique Amazon URL, brand name link, social share button. I think this is getting repetitive, so we might end up wrapping here. Just kind of scrolling. Okay, so it does show some templates. So this is an example of when you're going in and building a template, and definitely check out my other video on how to build the template. It's definitely valuable to do so. All right, so here on the left-hand side, it talks about how you got a page manager. You can build unique pages, build sub-pages in there. You got a status bar, whether it's live or not, preview window to see what it looks like in real time. And it's kind of you can kind of plop them in one tile at a time and kind of move them around. You also can rotate them up and down. So like say this 7 tile section right here, you can drag and drop that below. That is very helpful and makes it easy. And then multi-page content. So you can start them on a homepage, click into this section right there, which loads this section, which has additional subpages, which loads that section with the product grid. Now, here's why you don't link them to the brand store. Here's a great case example, because that's 3 extra clicks. And if you're advertising your brand and you've got a keyword in mind, why give them 3 extra clicks instead of land them on the product detail page? That's why I don't land them there, in my opinion. A lot of flexible templates. You can see 3 different case examples here: product grid, marquee, and showcase. Finally, if you have any questions about how to do something in Seller Central, please leave a comment on our video. We do shoot extra videos and tutorials based on customer and client interest and demand for our subscribers. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to our My Amazon Guy show.